In a forgotten village stood a massive tree, ancient, proud, and once full of life. Its roots had fed generations, its shade had sheltered travelers, and its branches had stretched so wide that people believed it would never fall. But then came a time. Its leaves began to fade, its branches withered, and what was once a symbol of strength became a reminder of decline. Everyone said the tree was dying. They poured water at its base, added fertilizer, even cut away the dry branches. But nothing changed. Until one day, an old gardener walked by. He didn't touch the branches or the soil, he simply dug deeper, and discovered that the roots were strangled by stones that had built up over the years. He didn't water the tree, he freed the roots. Weeks later, the first green leaf returned. Not because of water, but because of clarity. Most businesses are like that tree. They don't die because of lack of water, money, marketing, or manpower. They die because their roots are strangled by outdated systems, neglected customers, unexamined assumptions, and leadership fatigue. Every struggling business wants funding, rather than the ability to see what's choking their growth from beneath the surface. And that clarity comes from mastering one rare ability: evaluation. The skill that turns panic into precision and confusion into control. But that's just the first step. The bigger questions are how to evaluate a dying business. And once you find what's wrong, how do you bring a dying business back to life? That's what we'll uncover in this episode of Strategy Syndicate, the unconventional blueprint for diagnosing, repairing, and reigniting a business that's losing its spark. When a business begins to fail, the first instinct is to react. More marketing, new offers, a rebrand, maybe even another loan. But reacting fast isn't the same as responding smart. That's where the first step begins: evaluation, seeing what's truly wrong. Imagine you're a doctor, and your patient walks in saying, "I have a headache." You don't just hand them painkillers. You check their pulse, temperature, blood pressure, because the headache might be a symptom, not the problem. The same applies to business. A drop in sales is rarely the disease, it's the symptom. Most dying businesses suffer not from bad products, but from unexamined realities. The market evolved, but the business didn't. The customer changed, but the message didn't. The team kept working, but no one asked why things stopped working. True evaluation means asking the uncomfortable questions. When did the decline really begin? Has the customer's world changed faster than ours? Is the product still solving the problem it once did? And here's the hard truth: you can't fix what you won't face. When I helped a small manufacturing firm years ago, their owner blamed the economy for poor sales. But the real issue wasn't external. It was internal aging. Their process hadn't changed in years, while competitors automated theirs. Once we confronted that truth, the path became obvious. Update systems, retrain teams, reposition offers. Evaluation isn't about finding who to blame. It's about finding where to begin. But once you see the truth, what next? Knowing what's wrong is half the battle. Fixing it requires something deeper: reinvention. Reinventing the product or experience. Every dying business thinks it needs a new product. But most of the time, the product isn't the problem. The experience is. People don't just buy what you sell. They buy how it makes them feel. Let's take Domino's Pizza. Back in 2008, Domino's faced collapsing sales and brutal reviews. Their pizza was mocked, their brand was fading, but instead of hiding, they faced the truth publicly. They admitted their pizza wasn't good enough. They rebuilt the recipe, retrained teams, redesigned packaging, and redefined communication. They didn't invent something new. They reinvented what already existed. And that honesty sparked a full-blown comeback. For your business, reinvention could mean repackaging what you offer for a modern audience, reframing your value to match current priorities, redesigning how people experience your brand, from website to delivery. Because in business, perception often dies before the product does. But what if the problem isn't the product at all? What if it's the people? The customers you once served but never reconnected with? That's where the next step begins. Reconnect to rebuild. Here's a hidden truth. A dying business usually has hundreds, sometimes thousands, of sleeping customers. People who already trusted you once, but drifted away because the relationship went silent. Business owners often chase new buyers while ignoring the easiest group to win back, people who once bought from them. Starbucks doesn't just sell coffee, it sells consistency. Every store smells the same, feels the same, and greets you the same. Create what I call the after-sale relationship loop, a system that keeps your business alive long after the sale. 1. Reconnect. Send personalized thank yous, not automated emails, but real human appreciation. 2. Reassess. Ask what changed for them. Use feedback to shape your next offer. 3. Reward. Give returning customers advantages that newcomers don't get. 4. Reignite. Build communication habits, updates, stories, results, so your brand stays top of mind. Customer reactivation is revival fuel. It's faster, cheaper, and more sustainable than acquisition. But even when your customers return and your product shines again, there's still one problem that kills revivals faster than anything else: money. So in the next part, we'll talk about how to fund a comeback without drowning in debt. Financing turnaround. Think beyond loans. When a business starts gasping for air, most owners run to the bank. Loans, investors, crowdfunding, all in the name of buying more time. But here's the truth. Money magnifies your habits. If your system is broken, funding just helps you fail faster. A revival doesn't begin with how much money you raise. It begins with how wisely you restructure the flow of money you already have. Let's take a hard look at it. If you're spending on things that don't drive profit, you don't need a loan, you need clarity. If you're offering discounts that destroy your margins, you don't need ads, you need discipline. Think creatively about capital. When Airbnb was nearly broke, they didn't wait for investors. They printed cereal boxes. Here are 4 unconventional financing moves that save dying businesses. 1. Pre-sales. Offer early access or future deals to loyal customers. It generates upfront cash. 2. Strategic partnerships. Share distribution, resources, or customers with another brand. 3. Cash flow fix. Audit every subscription, supplier, and unnecessary expense. 4. Customer financing. Offer flexible payment plans instead of cutting prices. Every dollar saved or rechanneled is a breath of oxygen for revival. Remember, when you control your flow, you control your future. But even with money flowing again, there's one problem you can't fix with funding: the person steering the ship. Because when leadership doesn't evolve, no strategy survives. Now, change the driver, not the vehicle. Businesses don't burn out. Leaders do. And when they do, the company follows. Leadership ego is one of the silent killers of revival. You've probably seen it. Owners clinging to old systems, defending old ideas, and ignoring new realities because they used to work. But the market doesn't care what used to work. It rewards whoever adapts fastest. When Howard Schultz returned to Starbucks in 2008, the company had lost its soul. Stores were overexpanded, service quality had collapsed, and customer loyalty was fading. He didn't come back with flashy marketing. He came back with humility. He shut down all U.S. stores for one day to retrain baristas and reteach the why behind every cup. He simplified menus, refocused on customer experience, and restored culture. Within 2 years, Starbucks was thriving again. Reviving a business means reviving leadership, mentally, emotionally, and strategically. Ask yourself, am I still the right person to lead this stage of growth? Have I become too reactive to change? Do I make decisions from fear or clarity? Because no turnaround lasts unless the leader transforms first. But even with renewed leadership, clear finances, and loyal customers, revival isn't complete until you turn it into a system. Because survival shouldn't depend on luck. It should depend on design. At this point, you've done what most business owners never do. You've faced the truth, reinvented your product, repaired relationships, and restored financial flow. Now comes the final step: turning your revival into a repeatable system. Because if you can't repeat your success, it's just recovery, not resilience. Here's your reinvention blueprint. 5 repeatable steps that keep your business adaptable long after the crisis. 1. Evaluate constantly. Don't wait for pain. Diagnose before decline. 2. Reinvent relentlessly. Treat change as a normal part of the business cycle. 3. Reconnect regularly. Build relationships that outlast transactions. 4. Refinance intelligently. Keep cash flow lean and purposeful. 5. Reset leadership continually. Never outgrow your ability to learn. Every thriving company, from Apple to Netflix, cycles through these principles repeatedly. That's why they stay relevant, while others fade. But revival is always possible. When you evaluate without ego, reinvent with purpose, reconnect with your customers, restructure your cash flow, and reset your leadership, you don't just save a business. You resurrect it. Because every crisis carries a clue, and every downfall hides a doorway. The question is, will you dig deep enough to find it? If this video gave you clarity, don't stop here. Subscribe to Strategy Syndicate, where we dissect real strategies that turn setbacks into systems and failures into frameworks for lasting growth. Because success isn't built on motivation. It's built on method. And here, we build both.